What's up everybody, it's CJ and I'm back with another Barnacle Bay renovation. So today I'm going to be furnishing Jasmine Noon's home in Barnacle Bay. And Jasmine Noon is a very artistic sim. She loves the outdoors, she's good and clumsy and a virtuoso, so she just kind of gives creative vibes to me. It's kind of funny though because her lifetime wish is to be a CEO of a mega corporation, which is kind of wild when you think about it, right? You would think she would have some kind of art lifetime wish or something like that, but no, she wants to be a CEO. And good for her. But today I'm renovating her house, and her house, y'all, was literally a rectangle. I mean, I feel like in terms of real life, that's kind of how a lot of houses are, rectangles and just boxes. But I feel like whenever you see houses like this in the sim, or at least me, whenever I see houses like this, I always feel like they just could use, a little bit of work. So one of the big things I did for this house is that I added a bump out in the front. That makes it a little bit more interesting when you look at it, and it also makes the house a little bit bigger. In the back of the house, I also evened out the bump out so it'll just be easier to roof. So I'm using the gabled roof, a half gabled roof. And I just think it looks a lot better this way. And also, I did not know, y'all, what color to make this house. And I feel like whenever I don't really know what color to go with, and especially if I'm making a house for a sim, I always like to go and look and see what the sim's favorite color is. So Jasmine's favorite color is seafoam. It is kind of funny though, y'all. So I googled seafoam's hex code, right? And then when I put it into The Sims 3, it was looking more mint or like a lime green kind of, and I didn't really like it. So I was like, maybe I could just try to make my own seafoam, and we're just gonna pretend that it's seafoam because it looks more mint color. Like, this house reminds me of the mint house from the Not So Berry challenge, but we're just gonna pretend it's seafoam, okay? I feel like, when it comes to colors, something can look one way to another person and another way to another person, so it doesn't really matter. So her house was also originally stone, and I like the idea of that, so I just changed the kind of stone that it was. This way it just looks a little bit more interesting. And then I noticed that she had a garden in the back of her house. Now it's kind of funny though because EA gave her a fake garden, so they put shrubs and stuff back there, I guess to kind of represent that it's a garden, but it's really not. And I like the idea of that, but for one, was on a budget because we didn't have a lot of money for this build. And so I was like, why don't we delete some of those in the backyard? And I added a couple, you'll see it a little bit later, just so you can see that there's something back there. But yeah, y'all, we were literally on a budget with this house. And I know sometimes people ask CJ, why do you do a budget? Just go all out. And it's yeah, but also there's two reasons. One, it's probably because I'm a YouTuber and everything has to be a challenge or a competition. You know how it is, So I think that's part of it. And then also the other part is that I play with the story progression mod when I play The Sims 3. And the way that it's set up is where if a sim can't really afford to live in a house, the game will move them out or make them downsize. And that's happened to me a lot. So sometimes I'll have a sim and I move them into a world and I'll use free real estate. And then I'll maybe a day or two later, whenever bills are come, it'll be yeah, the sim can't afford to live here, and it'll just move them somewhere else. So since this is my Barnacle Bay renovation and this is Jasmine's house, I'm trying to renovate it to meet her needs. You know what I'm saying? I don't care who lives here, but for this save file, it's supposed to be for her. So I'm I kind of want her to stay where she is. And she had little to no money when I first went to this house, y'all. So I had to dig deep for this build. Luckily, at the end, we had around 142 simoleons. So she's not completely broke, which I'm happy about. But yeah, it was a little bit of a challenge trying to renovate this house. For some reason, I feel Sims 4 is just easier to make a starter home in because for one, I think they're 18,000 simoleons for a starter home for one sim. In The Sims 3, I think it's 14,000. So and then even in The Sims 3, I feel a lot of objects are more expensive, even if they're the cheap version of it. I feel it's just more expensive. So you kind of have to dig deep, or at least I do. I feel I try to have a balance of things that look nice, but also things that are in the budget, so sometimes those things don't really even out. One of the things I always like to use is that bed from the Showtime pack because it's cheap and it's a good level bed so your sims can get their energy up faster. But it's you know what I mean? So it's just sometimes I know certain things I want to use, but other times I'm because some of the cheap furniture in the game, I'm no thanks. But now we move on to the inside of her house. So as you can see, I wanted to make sure that she had a living room. Now, she originally did not have a TV, and maybe that was intentional, but I wanted her to have a living room. So I'm giving her the TV from the Generations pack, the lamp and the rug are from base game, and then I give her the chair from Seasons. And then I was looking through the catalog because she's an artistic sim, right? So I was trying to find objects that look like they were handmade or, you know, could be handmade. So I like to think that maybe she made her coffee table out of like an old billboard or something like that. And then like I gave her like a little ottoman on the ground. It was really cute. She also has an art easel. It was in the living room, but I moved it to her bedroom, but I moved it back to the living room. So she has her art easel. She has like a picture of like reference art and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, I just wanted to, like I said earlier, I just wanted to give her like a nice place to kind of just do art and just be her, you know. And then also I also wanted to make it seafoam because that's her favorite color. But I think it still looks good in the end. Like for the kitchen, for example, I'm using, I think the wallpaper is from Generations with the seashells on them. I think it's from Generations, and I knew that I wanted to use it. I almost kept the vegetable floor tiles, but I didn't keep those, y'all. I wanted to keep them, but then I was like, maybe we could go for something different. So I swapped them out for some of the tile from the base game, and I just kind of made the colors match, you know, with the seafoam aesthetic. Oh, I also found that hanging chair is, I think it's from like the Bohemian set on the Sims 3 store, and I was like, oh, that would be so perfect in here. And I unfortunately didn't have space for it in the living room, so I moved it to her bedroom. And that's one thing too, y'all, is like things are just so expensive in this game, especially artwork, because I wanted to like give her like a lot of like nice like art pieces. But a lot of the artworks in the game are like so expensive, and I was like, bro, there's no way. So there's a couple pictures here and there. Some of the ones that were here I got rid of, like the one with the sim that's catching a fish. I deleted that one, but I did keep the one with the sunflowers. I gave her one with like a Sim's face on it. So now this is her bedroom, and this is that bed I was telling y'all about from Showtime. I'm telling y'all, if you have Showtime, get this bed if your Sim's on a budget, because I think it's like Energy 7, I think, or Energy 5. But basically, when it comes to levels in beds and stuff like that in the game, basically the higher level a bed is, 9 times out of 10 the more expensive it's going to be, but also the more energy that your sim will get if they use it. So if you get like a cheap bed, it'll take your sims longer to get a good night rest versus like a better bed, you know. So this one is pretty good for the price, so I was like, I gotta use it, you know. Also, her bedroom is kind of like a pink and seafoam kind of color scheme. I was kind of upset at first, y'all, but I was like, we're literally out of money, and I wanted her to have a dresser and a nightstand, but I didn't have money at first, so I was like, what am I gonna do? And then I realized that her windows are the ones from the base game, but there's the windows from Showtime that are kind of cheaper and bigger, and I was like, oh yeah, let's swap these out for those, and let's get rid of the curtains, you know, so we can have a little bit more money left over. So in the end, we were able to get a rug in here. I kept the desk. She has a nightstand and a dresser. And then I even gave her like that nice art reference piece from the university pack, and she has that on the wall as well. And then of course she has the hanging chair in the corner. And then for her bathroom, I originally wanted to give her a shower tub combo, but then I realized that we don't have a lot of money, so, you know, I had to just use the base game shower, which is fine. Luckily, we had enough space for everything, because at first, the bathroom in this house was kind of big. I've noticed that about, like, a lot of Max's bathrooms, especially, like, in the older Sims 3 worlds. A lot of their bathrooms are big, and I'm like, they don't really need to be that big, you know. So I made it smaller, and then I did forget to give her toilet paper, but I do go back after the video was done and I gave her some toilet paper. So this is like the garden space. So I just wanted to give her like a place where she could garden. I thought about using the buy debug plants, but I don't remember if they cost money, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't just use them. So it's basically just like dirt back here, but I do give her like a little chair. And then I do put a couple of like landscaping plants out here just so there's something in the back of the house. But if you, say for example, want to play here, you could definitely like, you know, put stuff in the ground if you want. I just didn't know if it cost money and I didn't want to risk it, so I was like, let me just keep it empty, you know. But anyway, y'all, that's pretty much everything for the entire video. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to leave a like, comment something down below. I'll leave the build link down below as well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Thanks for watching!